So as I said, we are starting topic number 7. It is called decision making. Topic number 7. LM. Topic 7. Decision making. So decision making is something that is very important in any business. Remember, we are talking about leadership and management. And in management or in leadership, you have to make a decision, right? It can be a bad decision, it can be a good decision, it has to be a decision. In fact, one of the things that are expected of a leader is that a leader needs to make a decision at the time of crisis. Even if it is a bad decision, you need to decide. You can't remain hanging on the balance throughout. You need to know where you are. And that is when people will trust you. Look at somebody like Kalonzo. Most people don't trust him because he's always 50-50. The same with Mudavadi. You never know what they can do anytime. But we know somebody like Ruto, akisema ni hivi, he means it. And that is why people trust him. So a good leader must be a leader that can be trusted. And that depends on how firm you are on your decision. So it is very important to always make a decision, and then you look at how it goes. Then you can be able to do corrections. You learn through it as well, right? So of course we expect you to make good decision, but you have to make a decision. So what are some of the importance of decision? Let's look at the importance of decision making in an organization. First, I don't know whether I should be able to define for you the decision making. Let's define decision making. Decision making. I want to say that decision making is the process to select. It is a process to select. It is a process to select a course of action from a number of alternatives. The process of selecting course of action. The process of selecting course of action from a number of alternatives. That is what we call a decision. So that means that if you don't have alternatives, then you are not making a decision. Hiyo ni kama umelazimishwa, right? For you to decide, it means that you had an option, so you have chosen one and you've left the other. That is decision. In a situation where you only have one alternative or one course of action, and then you have gone with it, or you decided to pick it, then that is not a decision, because you didn't have alternative. Ni kama umelazimishwa. So that is not a decision. So you're saying a decision is where you have to select one course of action where there are alternatives. That is when it is a decision. So it is the process to select a course of action from a number of alternatives. And we are saying that decision is very important. It is an integral part of organization management. So let's look at characteristics of decision. So for you to make an effective decision that can be seen is working well. Characteristics of an effective decision. Characteristics of an effective decision. The first one is that decision making is based on rational thinking. Is based on rational thinking. It means that for you to make decision, you have to have thought about it. You have to have taken time to reason. So the manager tries to foresee various possible effects of the decision that is going to make before deciding on what to choose, right? So before deciding on a particular one, you need to have thought about it. So before you make any decision to do anything, try to think about it. Try to think about the outcome, the consequences, or the effects before you make such kind of decision. And think about it. Do you think that the effect is something that is going to be favorable? Is the effect what you intended to achieve? The implication. So it is a rational thinking. It is made from a rational thinking. Number two, it is a process of selecting the best among alternatives that are available. It is a process of selecting the best among the alternatives that are available. You know, even if there are alternatives and if they're not available, you can't make that are available. So it is a process of selecting the best out of the alternatives that you have. It involves evaluation of various alternatives. Evaluation is basically to judge or to analyze. So if we are saying that that is an evaluation test, that it is a test that is trying to analyze your understanding or to judge your understanding. So again, when you have 3, 4, or many alternatives, then decision making involves trying to look at each alternatives, trying to select and judge, trying to judge the alternatives that are available and selecting which one is the best or selecting the best out of them. So we are saying that it involves the evaluation of various alternatives available. It involves evaluation of various alternatives. It involves evaluation of various alternatives. It involves evaluation of various alternatives. It involves an evaluation of various alternatives. It involves evaluation of various alternatives. The next thing is that decision making is the end product because it is preceded by discussion and deliberation. And it is the final thing. Before you decide, a lot of things that happens. You deliberate, you discuss, and then finally unaamua. So decision is like kuamua. It is the last thing that happens out of this process. Even if you're to vote, first will look at the policies, you look at the visions of each candidate, and then after evaluating, after deciding, after deliberating, after discussing with your friends, you come to a conclusion. That conclusion that I think this is the best alternative, that is now decision. So decision is the final product, is normally the end product. So say that decision making is the end product. It is the end product that is preceded by spelling of preceded by discussion and deliberation. So it is normally the end product that is preceded by, a discussion and deliberation. Then the next point, you can say that decision making is aimed to achieve organizational goal. In an organization, you make decisions so that you can achieve the goal, right? So decision making is aimed at achieving a specific goal, or you can say organizational goal. Kama kuna goal that you want to achieve, then there is no need of making decision. It is aimed at achieving organizational goal or specific goal, right? The last one, I'm not sure if I'm very fast, but I've not seen anybody complaining. So you're saying that decision making is aimed at achieving an organizational goal. And then the last one, you say it involves certain commitment. You know, once you've decided, you have to commit yourself. Usiamue tu na umeachia hapo. You need to commit. It means that you have to take it like intentional thing to ensure that you execute or implement your decision. So management is committed to every decision it makes or it takes. So decision involves certain commitments. Otherwise, ukiamua na hujafanya, iko na shida. And that's why I always complain about some CPA students. They have decided to go and sit exams. Na amebook, decide na amebook, lakini hakuna commitment. Is it a decision? Florence, you've decided that you're going to do mtihani, but you're not committing yourself to classwork or to study, do you think you're going to achieve the goal of decision? Because we say that decisions are aimed at a certain goal. Do you think you are going to achieve the goal if you are not committed? You need to commit yourself to the decisions and then achieve the goals. Commit yourself.
But for me to do exams, I think that is also a goal for me to go and do that exams.
It is not just a goal to do exam, it's a goal to pass. So if you decided to go and sit for exams and pass, that is a goal. The goal is to pass. Now you need to commit yourself all resources, including time and availability and whatever money, so that you achieve that particular goal. The goal is to pass. Here to sit to sitting is not enough. You're saying that KASNEB people are not good, or what are you saying? Those KASNEB people can really mess up. Let me tell you, those KASNEB people are not bad. I used to think the same way before I became a marker. But when I started marking KASNEB, I realized that students, and I don't know what can be done about it. Maybe in this April marking, maybe we shall raise some issues and deliberate on it. But I think the quality of classes that we are giving, the quality of students that we are producing are just bad. We have low quality students. Right now, I was looking for, so let's look at the characteristics of decision making. Now we have looked at characteristics now. Let's look at the importance of decision making. Why is it important to make decisions? Importance of decision making. But something must be done, otherwise CPA will be of no value. Something needs to be done in terms of quality to make students commit themselves and also make it become valuable to their employers. Employers are also suffering outside. We are not getting the people we are looking for. They are not there. So the first importance is to achieve goals. Number one, to achieve organizational goal. Stop objectives. This is the objective that you are talking about. This is the goal or aim that you are saying, that a decision must be aimed at a certain goal. It is also a way of motivating employees, so employee motivation. How is decision making motivates employee? If you are a leader who makes the right decision every time you are doing the right thing, then of course employees will be very happy. So decision making is very important to motivate employees within an organization. It provides an overall framework of operations and guidelines. You need to decide on how things should be run. You need to decide on the organizational structure. You need to decide on the payment, the payroll. How do you call it? Is it payroll? Is it payroll grades or that structure, the payroll structure? You need to decide. You need to decide on the bonus, the benefits that you're giving people. So such kind of things are about decision. It provides the type of facilities and benefits that people get as employees, and that actually benefits them. Now, employees are always motivated to their job or work if their employer are meeting the organizational requirement or they are meeting their requirements. Unaweza kuwa umepata kazi, lakini the employer has refused to buy you laptop. Hauna laptop lakini uko na kazi. So you'll be demoralized. Hauna system. They have decided not to buy. Wameamua hawatanunua resources. Hawatanunua hizo resources. So the next one is proper utilization of resources. A decision on how to allocate resources is also very important. Proper utilization of resources. Proper utilization of resources. Proper utilization of resources. So an organization has various resources like the human, the manpower, money, methods of production, materials, machines. All those resources needs to be allocated for optimum use. Then the next one is selecting the best alternative. Selecting the best alternative. Selecting the best alternative. Of course, addition will help you to select the best alternative. That one I don't need to explain. Evaluation of the managerial performance. You'll be able to evaluate how management perform through the decision that they are making. Utajua is a good manager according to, in relation to the kind of decision that they are making. So evaluation of management performance. Ruth, I hope that you're together there, that you can be able to evaluate. You can be able to evaluate the management performance depending on the decision that they make. So it is not just important in selecting alternatives, but it's also good in performance appraisal, the quality of the decision that they're making, the success of the decision that they're making can actually be used to evaluate them. Number 6, we are saying that indispensable element or component. Indispensable element stock component. Indispensable element or component. So we are saying that decision making is an important or is an indispensable element or component for the organization's success. These are very important for the organization's success, right? Because without taking the right decision at the right time, nothing can be performed as per the plan. So it is a very important, you can say that it is a very important decision in relation to the organization performance or how the organization achieves its goals. It is a very important factor to be considered when it comes to the achievement or the success of the company. It's very important in relation to the success of the company. So let's look at decision-making models. Models of decision-making. Models of decision-making. Models of decision-making. Or let me just call it decision-making models or approaches. Decision-making models or approaches. Decision-making models or approaches. So how do you make decision, or which kind of decisions are you supposed to make? So the first decision that you're thinking about, first, before you look at the models, I want to say that decision-making process, decision-making process, though a logical one, is a difficult task. Decision-making process, though a logical one, is a difficult task. Decision-making process, though a logical one, is a difficult task. All decisions can be categorized in the following basic models. All decisions can be categorized in the following basic models. So the first model is called rational or classical decision-making model. The first model is called rational rational stroke classical decision-making model. That is the first one. So in this one, the rational one is where you are thinking about it before you make decision. Sasa, rational, it means that unatumia akili kabla uamue. So rational decision making model suggests that you follow a sequence of steps in order to find a solution. It suggests that before you find a solution, you are following some sequences or steps. So you're saying that rational decision making model suggests that you follow a sequence of steps. You follow a sequence of steps in order to find a solution to the problem. Follow a sequence of steps. 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 Follow a sequence of steps in order to find a solution to the problem. So the following are the steps in rational decision-making model steps. When you are making this kind of decision or you are making decision through this kind of model, first you need to know what is the problem. Identify the problem. So number one, identify the problem. That's the first thing. So before you make a decision, maybe you are in a family where there are a lot of quarrels, so unaamua iye afadhali tuachane niende nijipange. We are saying that before you decide to divorce or to separate, ask yourself, where is really the problem? Where is the problem? Any shida imetokea wapi? Before you make the decision to quit, right? So the same way, before you make the decision now to do whatever you're doing, even in management, you need to first understand where the problem is. And so we are saying that it is rational. It's out of thinking, making deep thinking or critical thinking rational. So it follows these steps. After knowing where the problem is, what do? Decision criteria. Number two, decision criteria. Decision criteria. Decision criteria. So as a manager, you should identify criteria for potential solution. You know where the problem is. So what are some of the potential solutions? This will help you to avoid bias in choosing the alternatives. You know, you don't choose alternative when you have not analyzed the potential solutions. So you're going to make a decision. You know the problem and you want to make a decision. You need to know the criteria that you need to use. Of course, the criteria will be to select the best alternative. So what are the alternatives that are available? What are the potential alternatives? Potential alternative solution. So what are the solutions? So that you avoid being biased, you need to know all the available solutions, alternative solutions, to avoid being biased when you are finally choosing the option. So your criteria is by analyzing the alternative solutions. That is the decision criteria, analyzing the potential alternative solutions. Then after that, you need to now, let's say that the alternatives that you have are like, maybe you have 3 alternatives or 4 or 2, you need to give them the weights, the importance. Unaangalia A, uzuri yake ni gani, na B, uzuri yake ni gani, and C. So you give the alternatives the weight. So we are saying allocate weights to these alternatives. Allocate weights to these alternatives. Allocate weights. So for you to be fair, you know there are 3 alternatives. So weigh them. So here we are saying that some criteria will be more important to some. Some of the alternatives that you are finding might be more important than others. The decision-making process necessarily include considering the interest of the stakeholders. So before you make the decision, think about the people that you are staying with in the house. Before you decide to divorce, think about the stakeholders. You know, stakeholders in your family, there are so many. Your mom is there, your dad is there, your brothers are there, your husband, your children. So before you make this decision, you decided that the alternatives that I have, number one is to divorce. Number two is to just stay put, nivumilie. Number three is to fight for my right. I'll be here, but I will not vumilia. I'll fight for my right. Those are three alternatives. But before you choose any of them, you need to give them the weights. You look at the one that can help you, the one that is better, depending on the current scenario. And as you give them the weight, you need to think about the stakeholders, the people who are going to be affected by your decision. So don't just make a decision blindly and then unastuka. Like for example, today, let me tell you, this one happens in audit. If today you are auditing a company, then you realize that this company, there are a lot of files that are happening, or you're not seeing something there, so allocate weights. We are saying that if you're auditing a company, and then you realize that the current board and management are stealing, they are looting the company, you have alternatives. Number one, you can go and report them. If you report them, look at the alternative, the implication. You report them and give a bad report. Unajua unaweza enda useme, na pia you can even call the journalists or the media, they come here and do whatever they can. But then you look at the implication, the stakeholders. As you give the options that you have weights, look at the implication on stakeholders. If it is a circle or it is a company, the company will go down. Everybody will lose. Is that what you want to achieve? Is it what you want to achieve? So before you make any decision, you need to understand that. Give them the weight, but consider the implication or the effects on the stakeholders. Then now develop alternatives. Once you have given them the weights, you need now to sieve them so that you remain with the alternatives that are workable. So develop alternatives, the real alternatives now. Develop alternatives. Unajua saa zingine unaweza unapeana weight mpaka unabaki na mbili peke yake. So unasema hapa, hii zingine nimetoa, siwezi enda huko. Hii siwezi enda huko. At least nimebaki na mbili ama tatu. All other options umeachana nazo. Those ones were just part of the criteria. Now the ones that you're going to remain with after sieving is now the alternative. So it is very important to develop as a wide array of alternatives as possible so that you can be able to choose from them. Because if you don't have a lot or a wide array of alternatives, then that means that you're going to be forced to make a decision or forced to pick alternative that you don't like. You need to have so many alternatives, and from there you can be able now to make the best or the correct one. Now, analyze each alternatives. The remaining ones, analyze each alternative. That is number 6. You can say here, that is number 4. Number 5, sorry. Analyze the remaining alternatives. Analyze each alternative. Analyze each alternative. Analyze each alternative that now you have. After analyzing, you'll now be able to choose the alternative. So number 6, choose the alternative. Choose the best alternative. Now, in decision making, one thing that you always remember, I know sometimes you might forget in exams, the stages. These are basically the stages of a normal decision making process. One thing that you should never forget, I will allow you to forget everything, but there are some things that we cannot allow you to forget as examiners. Number 1, identification of the problem. You cannot make a decision without knowing the problem. Number 2, collecting the alternatives, getting the alternatives to choose from. That is number 2. In summary form, you need to know the alternatives. Number 3, weighing the alternatives or evaluating the alternatives, weighing or evaluating the alternatives, right? And then choosing the alternatives. So evaluating or analyzing is almost the same. Then now choose the alternative. So there are stages. When I have a problem, I need to know what the problem is. I need to look at the potential solution. I need to now analyze them, right? Analyze them. Then after analyzing, I need to choose the best. Those are 4 stages that you can summarize from this story. Those 4 stages, you can never miss marks out of those. And of course, after choosing, the next one is to implement. And we say that implementation is a way of commitment. If you are somebody who cannot commit to the alternatives that you've chosen or the decision that you made, then it's better not to decide. The decision point is here, choosing. So once you've chosen, the next step is to implement the decision. Otherwise, if you don't implement, it was not your decision. Implement. Implement the decision that you've chosen here. And then the last one is to evaluate. You need to come and relook at that decision that you chose. Unakuja unaangalia tena. Did I do the right thing? So don't always implement alafu unatoroka. Ukisha implement unajaribu kuangalia kama ulifanya makosa ama uko sawa. So after implementing, you come and do what? That is number 7. Number 8. After implementing, you evaluate the effect. Evaluate the effect. Some people are making this one and then they don't even look at the effect. Mtu anaamua anafanya kitu kingine alafu akishatoroka ndiye anakuja analia. Before you need to think about it, and then even after unarudi pia unaangalia what is the effect of that. Florence, shana watu kama hawa. Bibi anatoroka kwa sababu bwanake ni mkora. Ako na mpango wa kando. Na yeye akishatoka anaenda anatafuta bwana ya mtu. Anakuwa bibi wa pili ama sasa yeye anakuwa side chick. Na alitoroka kwa sababu bwanake ni ako na side chick. So what we are saying, sometimes you just go and sit down mwenyewe na unaangalia, does it make sense? What is the implication of what I did? It's better sometimes to just go back home where you came from. Review the decision that you made. It is not bad. As a leader, if you find that the decision that you made after implementing, it is not meeting your expectation or it is not helping you achieve the goal, then please just go and review and go back or change it. Florence, hii ni ukweli. Umetoroka kwa sababu bwanako ako na mpango wa kando. Kisha toroka, wewe sasa unakuwa mpango wa kando wa bwana ya wenyewe. So what are you trying to do? So Edwin, what we are saying is that there are things that you can always remember. Remember rational or classical decision. This is the best one. It is the normal, it is the expected decision-making process. So we are saying that it is out of thinking about what you want to do, right? So the things that we are going to say here are summarized this way. Number 1, you need to identify the problem. After knowing the problem, you look for the alternatives that are available. After looking for the alternatives, evaluate the alternatives or analyze them. After analyzing, choose one among them. Unit stage number 4. In summary, stage number 4, choose one amongst them. So the first one, identify the problem, look for the alternative, evaluate the alternative, choose one alternative, that is number 4. After choosing the alternative, implement. After implementing, evaluate the effect or review the implication of the alternative that you chose. Those are 6 stages. Now, examiner can come and tell you, can you tell me the decision-making process? It is this one. That is it. Decision-making process. Kuna decisions zingine pia una make, but they are not having this normal process. Kama kuna mtu anaweza make decision because of the past experience. Yani ananipigia simu kama amenichukia tayari. Ushaona mtu kama huyo? Anakupigia simu kama anakelelesha. They are already making noise or they have attitude. That is not rational. They are not using their mind. That is not rational. It is also a way of making decision because of out of the past history or information that you have about somebody. You are not thinking deeply. So let's look at these other models. That is also another model, but tutaona tu. Let's look at these other models. So the next model is, critic of this model. Let's look at the critic of this model, which is the normal one. Critic of this model. What are the challenges with this kind of model? Number one, challenges or drawbacks of this model, which is called a rational decision-making model. Number one, some scholars and practitioners critique the decision-making process. They are saying that, number one, it makes numerous assumptions about situation and individuals. And it makes numerous assumptions about situation. So it assumes, for example, these assumptions are, it assumes number one is that you have alternatives. It assumes that you have alternatives. See, that is an assumption. It assumes that you know how to analyze. You have information or you have skills that analyze these alternatives. Now you have an assumption. It also assumes that you can predict the implication or the effect of your decision on other stakeholders. Just sometimes you cannot know. Ni ukweli, unaweza fanya kitu na ujui the implication, baadaye ndio unakumbuka. This is the implication. Those are just assumptions. So we are saying that it makes so much assumptions about the situations and the individuals. Number two, it assumes that the decision maker is able to fully understand the situation and the implication. Na hiyo nimesema tayari. It assumes that the decision maker is able to understand the implication and the situation. It also assumes that managers are able to identify the available resources, available choices. The managers are able to identify the alternatives. See the assumption, and nimesema. The last one, it assumes that managers are in search of an optional decision rather than satisfying decision. It assumes that managers are looking for the best option rather than the options that satisfy them. Unajua kuna ile option ina kusatisfy wewe mwenyewe, alafu kuna ile decision that you're going to make or option that is going to be good for everyone. So the best one is the optimal. The optimal is the one that is good for everyone. But pia kuna ile sio optimal by it satisfy you. And you know, human beings, we are greedy by nature. Whenever you're making a decision, you think about yourself first before thinking about someone else. Now, somebody was saying that whatever President Museveni did was not wrong. Museveni made himself the president, his wife the Minister for Education, his son the Chief of Defense Force, and his daughter the Central Bank Director. Is it a bad decision? Mnaonaje hapo? Ruth, how about that? The governor of Central Bank Uganda ni mtoto msichana wa Museveni. Chief of Defense mwenye ana control all the forces, army, both ground and anga. Bado ni kijanake, alafu yeye ndio president. Alafu bibi yake ndiye ana control masomo huko. That decision. So we are saying that sometimes this decision that we are making them because it satisfies us, but they are not the optimal. They are not the optimal. Optimal is the best, but we are not looking for the best. We are looking for. Now, this assumption assumes that this theory assumes that managers are looking for the optimal decision and not, or rather than satisfying. Some people also say that this theory is not good. That rational thinking is not good because it requires too much time for gathering the information and also time for evaluating the situation. We don't have that. We don't have enough time to gather information so that we can be able to know all the available options. And we also don't have too much time for evaluating the situation. We don't have too much time for evaluating the situation. So it assumes that it requires too much time for gathering information and for evaluating the situation. The last one, it can lead to failure to reach a timely decision. It can lead to failure to reach a timely decision. It can lead to failure to reach a timely decision. You can waste a lot of time still trying to evaluate, so unapata mwana si wako. Let's look at the next one. Is there any question there? Hmm? If there is no question, then we go to the next one. That is bounded rationality decision. That is number 2. Bounded rationality decision. Decision making model. Bounded rationality decision making. So we say that under rationality, we were saying that under rationality, the decision maker needs to fully understand the alternative course of actions to understand the situation properly. He should also have full information and the ability to analyze the various alternatives that are available, right? So decision making, we are saying that therefore he should also be able to have a desire to select the best alternatives, right? He should also have the ability to select the best alternative or the best solution by selecting these alternatives. So this might be very tricky. We call it rationality. This kind of decision is trying almost the same as the first one, but it is assuming, it demands that the decision maker must have a proper understanding of the alternatives. It assumes that the decision maker is able to understand to have proper understanding of the alternatives and make the best decision. It might not be practical, but that is what it assumes. You come up tunaelewa. This one is from the word binding or bind. Rationality, understanding. So, if something is binding, it demands. You don't have option. So we are saying that this kind of rationality decision, it is forcing or it demands that the decision maker must have, or should have a proper understanding of the alternatives or proper understanding of the course of action for reaching the goals. He needs to have a proper understanding of the course of action to reach the goal. What am I saying? When you are at the top level of management, you need to, or you're expected to have knowledge about the industry. You need to have everything at your fingertips so that you make a decision. You are not going to go through the processes of collecting information. It is assumed that you are somebody who is already aware or knows what is happening. So you make a decision out of knowledge. You don't have the process of going through this, selecting the alternatives, evaluating. No. Wewe unaona hivi tit for tat. Yani unaona hivi na usha pinya button, usha decide. That is the kind of decision making they're talking about. It is demanding that the decision maker should have a proper understanding of what he's going to do, and therefore he is able to have full information of what he's going to do It is not like he's going to look for information. No, he should be able to have that information with him, and he should be able to have the ability to analyze the various alternatives that can be available, or he can be able now to pick the correct alternative without much time of selecting, searching, selecting, analyzing, all that process. No, that is what they are trying to say. That is what they are saying. So it is like a binding agreement or contract. The word bound. Hapo hauna alternative. Ni lazima ukuwe umejua, umejua what you are going to do. Bounded rationality decision. We also have another one, which is called intuitive decision making. Intuitive decision making model. Intuitive decision making model is now quite different from this. It relies on institution making decision. Yani, you arrive at the decision after you, without having a lot of problems. Like, you don't take a lot of time to trying to understand or collect information. No. Decision arrived at should be able to address a situation without conscious reasoning. You can be able to make decision without much thought about it or thinking about it. Instead, you are based on experience. It is based on feelings. It is based on personal judgment. So the decision here is based on, you don't have to think about it, based on feelings, experience, or judgment. This is the one that I was talking about. Somebody can actually decide and do something without thinking too much about it, analyzing, collecting information. No. So managers normally face a lot of problems or face a lot of challenging decisions every day because of the uncertainty in the environment. It is not a bad thing. It's not a bad way of making decision. Not really. What we are saying is that as a manager in your routine operations, you'll be meeting a lot of situations that needs urgent decision to be made. You don't have much time to go and collect information. But it is assumed that with your experience, ushapitia kitu kama hiyo before. You have experience before, so you can decide in relation to or according to what you know. It is also possible that you can also make decisions according to your feelings. So that is what we are talking about. It can be as a result of time pressure. You have pressure to meet the targets. That is what you're going to make decision based on. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Intuitive. Making decision based on experience, skills, feelings, or judgment. The other one is called recognition primed decision. Recognition primed decision. Or decision making model, decision making model. Recognition primed decision making model. It is almost the same as intuitive, where you make decision out of, but it is quite structured. This one is quite structured. It's not like this one per se. Njia hii unakuja tu na make decision. So this one, though you have the information, though you have some experience, but you need to have some structures. You need to be able to understand the scenario, what you are in at the moment. You need to know what the situation is all about. Then you relate it to the experience. You recognize the situation, recognize what is going to happen or what is happening. Then you relate it with the situation, with the experience, sorry. Recognize the situation and relate it with the situation. So you need to pick a course of action and try to check what will happen if I pick this option. Like with your past experience, if I take option 1, what will happen? So you do what? It is like an action script. Unajaribu kufikiria, if I take this one, what will happen? If I take this one, what will happen? With your past experience, what do you know about it? So it is quite close to this, but it has a lot of some pattern. It needs some thinking, understanding the situation, and then now using the past experience to make decision. Are we getting the differences between the two? Are we seeing the differences between the two? So we were supposed to finish at 10:30. We are just almost there. In fact, we are almost there. Let's just finish the type of decisions, models, and then we are done. Just 10 minutes to go. Let's look at the next one. It's called room a turn decision. Room a turn. Room a turn decision making. Kuna time walileta hii kwa mtihani room a turn. Kuna time walileta kwa mtihani. Room a turn decision making process. So this one requires you to make a high quality decision. You need to have various alternatives, try to test them and see the outcomes. So room a turn decision model supports the vision that the best solution to a problem is contingent on your specific situation. Right? It believes that the best solution is contingent on your specific situation. So you can have so much alternatives, collect sufficient information. So then you ask yourself, do I have sufficient information to make a quality decision? Right? So if the answer is yes, then you need to pick that option. So you have so many options and you believe that that option should support your vision. So you need to ask yourself whether you have the information or not. You need to test and then find the best alternative. So the outcome of this model will be trying to look at the information that is going to give you the best decision or outcome. It is quite similar to the first one, rationality, but this one, the difference is that it believes that the decision that you're making depends on the situation that you have. So you read the situation, compare with the information that you have, and then you can make, after doing some tests. So the outcome of this model is choosing a continuum from making a completely independent autonomous decision to engage with your team as the manager. We still have 2 more, and I feel like, oh yeah, the 2 are just very short. Number 6 is called creative decision making. Creative decision making, this is the easiest one. creating decision-making model, creative decision-making model. This is concerned with the ability to come up with a new thing that somebody was not able to think about. So creativity is from the word creativity, which is concerned with the ability to come up with something new. So this kind of decision making involves generating a new idea or new alternative, new perspective to the situation. So we are saying that if you are able to make, or you are a decision maker, then you need to bring a unique or original decision to a problem. It's about coming up with a new idea to solve the problem. It's about coming up with a new idea to solve the problem. Something that somebody will not even think about, something that is unique, something that is very unique. So the last one is called retrospective decision making model. A retrospective decision making model is written like this. That is number 7, which is the last one. A retrospective decision making model. Retrospective decision making model stroke implicit favorite model. Stroke implicit favorite model. Implicit favorite model. So this decision-making model focuses on how decision makers attempt to rationalize their choices after they have been made, or try to justify their decision. So it is just a process of justifying, retrospective. Yani mtu anaamua anafanya kitu alafu baadaye anakuja anaangalia, ana justify things that you've done. So you made a decision, you come and justify or give a point, put a point to your decision. So it is just a way of attempting to rationalize, or to have it make sense, to have the decision make sense. So kama umefanyia mtu vibaya, unajaribu kusema hata yeye kuna time alinifanyia hivyo. Now that decision could have not been the best, but you are trying to justify it. So the individual becomes convinced that he or she is acting rationally and taking a logical or reasonable decision. By justifying it, it makes you feel like you are doing the right thing. You are acting rationally. So in simple terms, you could have made the decision using any of these, but in retrospective, after making that decision, you again decide to continue doing it. It is a decision on top of a decision. You decide to continue doing it while justifying that you're doing that because of 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. Whether it was wrong or right, whether you have used any of these, but now you have decided to continue doing it because you are justifying yourself. So you can say it is a process designed to justify. It is a process designed to justify, and attempt to rationalize the choice after they have been made. To justify and attempt to rationalize the choice after it has been made. An attempt to rationalize the choice after it has been made. It's a process of designed to justify and also attempt to rationalize the choice. Rationalize means to make it have some sense after it has been made. So the individual becomes convinced that he or she is acting rationally. Individual becomes convinced that he or she is acting rationally and taking logical and reasonable decision. A logical and reasonable decision. So that is it for today. We have just looked at the models. So in our next class, we shall look at the types of decision. Those are models of decision. Shall look at the types of decision. Kuna decision that you make every day, routinely decision. Kuna zile una make once in a while. There are some that are programmed. Kuna structure. Some are not programmed. We shall look at them. We also have decision that you're making for yourself and the one that you're making on behalf of the organization. Those are types of decisions. So, and that will be in our next class tomorrow. If Madam will be around, she'll be able now to handle other areas. Then we pick from here on Wednesday or any other day. The types of decision making. Whether you're making it on behalf of the organization or personal, whether it is a routine or non-routine, whether it is programmed or not programmed. Those are types of decision making. Of decision. These are types of decision that you can make. So, unless there is a question, somebody has said yes, we are tired. Because I know. Thank you so much. Let's stop there.